Welcome back to another episode of the vlog. Today is January 4th, 2022, new year. Today, Amanda and I are going to be hitting the road. We're going on a couple-day vacation to New Orleans. We're running a little behind schedule this morning, so I'm filming this quick intro, and we are getting on the road. So we just made it into New Orleans. We had a bit of a rude awakening when we got to the hotel because we found out that valet parking with the hotel was ridiculously expensive. So we drove around for a little while and found this place where we were able to park $20 a night, which isn't too bad. So I'm about to go meet Amanda back at the hotel, and then we'll figure out what we're doing for dinner. I think it's time for a room tour. So we were trying to find a place for dinner before every place closes because it's getting pretty late by the time we got here. So we're going to try to check out Emeril's and see if they got any tables open. So we didn't want to do too much commentary in the actual restaurant because we were already making enough of fools of ourselves being underdressed and not necessarily knowing what we were doing. But no, the food was really great.
It was as fancy as it sounded on the menu and tasted even better. So I was really surprised and really impressed.
No, I agree. And it was a really cool added bonus that Emeril was actually there in the restaurant. You had asked our server how often he's actually been at the New Orleans location. Basically, since they recently opened back up, he's been here a lot more recently. I think she said 4 nights a week. Yeah. Even though he's here a lot more lately, it was still really cool to actually be able to see him and see him inspecting all the dishes as they came out and get a couple of creeper photos and videos of him and his son behind the kitchen. Going down what we actually had, the starter that we had was meant to be one of the bar starters, that it was a blue cheese with endive.
And the blue cheese came smoked with a little bit of olive oil, lemon zest, and cracked black pepper on top.
As I think we already got a clip of me saying it, but it was surprisingly mild for a blue cheese.
It's definitely a blue. It's really subtly sharp though, very smooth. Like a little bit of nutty flavor is really good, but I expected like sharper for blue, but it's really good as it is.
I expected it to be a lot sharper, but it was really smooth, kind of had a little nutty flavor to it. It was really good. It was just not as sharp as I expected it to be. Well, and then we had, what do you call it?
An amuse-bouche.
What's an amuse-bouche?
Dictionary definition.
A small savory item of food served as an appetizer before a meal.
So an amuse-bouche is like a gift from the chef, that's a French term, and they're very small, like meant to be eaten with your hands, like single bite things. So we had 3 amuse-bouche to start the dinner with. One was, I think she described it as a duck carnitas. That was the one that you saw Ryan try.
That's really good. I really love duck. Yeah, that's fantastic. It's really good.
There was another one that I believe was a crab and endive one. That's what I had.
It's a little spicy on the back end. The endive is nice and cooling. Very well balanced, I think.
And then there was a potato and leek soup that we both had also. All of them really flavorful, packed a big punch in one little bite, and I was really excited about that.
Yeah, no, all of them were really good. I've had duck a good handful of times before. The first one, easily the best duck I've had anywhere. It was really good. The second one was very light, but also packed a lot of flavor. It was very good, and the soup was fantastic too. So those are all great. And then we ordered appetizers that I may or may not have thought were entrees when we ordered them. But those were really good too. You had it was barbecue shrimp with like a little cheddar biscuit, right?
It's a rosemary biscuit.
A rosemary biscuit. And then I had the turtle lasagna with Wagyu beef, which I don't think I had ever had Wagyu beef before. I think that was the first time, and it was really good.
I was really impressed with the barbecue shrimp that I had. It came without the shell, which at least makes it easier to eat with a fork because it would be barbaric to use your hands at such a restaurant like that. And it came with a Cajun butter sauce on top that was just really rich, really flavorful, just a little bit spicy on the back end. Really good.
And then they brought out the dessert menus for us, and instantly I saw my favorite dessert of all time, a chocolate souffle, on there. And it came with it was an orange like sponge cake. It was as good as it sounded. It was fantastic.
Then we also had a dessert amuse-bouche with like a little cherry jelly, a chocolate and passion fruit macaron, and
it was like an egg
tart.
Yeah,
it was the egg custard.
Yeah, an egg custard tart, I think is what they said. Or
that chocolate and passion fruit macaron was the best thing I've ever eaten. So good.
That was really good. And then I really liked the cherry one too. That was our commentary on.
You can't forget about the cornbread.
Oh, right.
And the house-made sourdough.
I did forget the bread.
How could you forget the bread?
The cornbread was really good. It was a sweet cornbread, very tasty. And then the sourdough was a sourdough bread, also very good. That about covers it. That was our very fancy dinner that we maybe had no business being in the restaurant when we were. But everyone was really nice to us. The servers were really friendly. Everybody, we were sitting at the little bar facing the kitchen, and everybody in the kitchen that spoke with us was really friendly too. And they were all really kind and didn't say anything about me filming the clips that you saw from the kitchen, so that was a plus too.
Besides the fact that everything was more expensive than I could have planned for, at this point in my life, I thought everything was fabulous.
So that was a fun experience.
It was.
And I mean, that pretty much wraps it up for tonight. We got in kind of late, so I think we were just going to call it a day and get started in the morning. So, see you then.
Approximately 10 hours later.
Continental breakfast.
Continental breakfast. Can you believe this? It all comes with the room. A delight to the senses, isn't it, my friend?
Honestly, continental breakfast, 5 out of 10. It was exactly what you would expect it to be. Everything was average, nothing more, nothing less. But so for today, we are trying to make it over to the Voodoo Museum. They don't open for a little while. So we're just going to walk around and explore the city a little bit.
That's pretty sharp.
Not too far. Come on, wait a minute. Just right on the side. Now that's great for young people. That's a young person.
So we just went to Myers Hat Shop, open since 1984. They said this was their 128th year of business. This is a really cool shop. Lots of neat hats.
And I think the coolest part was they had a lot of different celebrities that had been in there and bought hats before. Gosh, who all were we seeing? Regis Philbin, Hugh Laurie, Zac Efron. I forget his name, but the guy that plays Red Foreman in That 70s Show. Matthew McConaughey. We had a couple of characters from The Office that were in there too. This is a neat place. Check it out if you're in New Orleans. But now we are almost over to the Voodoo Museum, and we're gonna check that out and see what's going on there. So I never knew that voodoo dolls were actually used for primarily love, healing, success, and money for basically well-wishing on family members. I feel like it's so kind of forced down our throats in Western culture that they're for evil when that really wasn't the primary practice, it seems like, of what they were actually used for.
I told you that snake goes anywhere and everywhere. Behind you, that tree that was used as a cross on a hill called Calvary, where Jesus Christ hung, bled, and died from the 6th to the 9th hour so that we have a right to tree of life. That snake is cut, carved, coiled, all the way from the bottom to the TOP. But if you are a believer, then you know that that's not how the story ends, because 3 days later he rose again, got up with all power in his hands, the true and risen Savior. My Redeemer lives, but that snake don't stop there.
Since it was late last night, I didn't show in the room tour, but we've got this balcony that's identical to the other ones you see down here with the other rooms, which pretty nice. But yeah, so we just walked back to the hotel from the Voodoo Museum. It was an interesting experience. I think regardless of whether or not you subscribe to the basics of voodoo and the actual mystical practice around it, the museum itself did show some neat historical artifacts that I think could be interesting to anybody looking. I will say the museum was smaller than I thought it was going to be. It ended up only being those 2 rooms with a little adjoining hallway, so not quite as fleshed out as I thought it would be, but definitely a cool experience. Not bad for an $8 student ticket. Amanda and I had a pretty good time. And then on the way back, we actually stopped in one other art gallery, and Amanda found a little piece. It was like a little metal shrimp or prawn that she can hang up in her apartment. So we were excited about that. Otherwise, we don't really have a lot else planned for today. We were going to try to go to this little cheese and sandwich shop for lunch here pretty soon. And we had some plans for dinner of going to a donut and burger place. But otherwise, I think we're just kind of hanging out for the rest of the day and seeing how things pan out. Now, I do think this balcony is cool, but I will say we are only on the 3rd floor, so the view is a little bit, we'll say, stifled. Here, let me show you. So this is our view looking straight out from the balcony, and then turning to the right. That's what you saw in the background before. And then turning down the other end of the street. You can see the bridge there and not really too much else. But it's still cool to have the balcony, so not the best view, but better than nothing.